A crisp spring morning spread a soft gold light over the county fairgrounds, and rows of rusty metal pens lined the dirt lot while chatter and clanging buckets echoed between the barns, setting a mood of tense excitement for the monthly livestock auction in that bustling place. Kiera Thompson, a 15-year-old in faded jeans and her lucky green hoodie, clutched the rail with sweaty palms, blinking away dust as she tried to act relaxed even though her heart was thudding like a bass drum inside her chest under wide blue skies. She had saved birthday cash, babysitting pay, and every crumpled bill earned walking neighbor dogs, and that money now rested inside a tiny purple purse slung across her shoulder like a badge of hope and daring with hopeful eyes shining. While buyers haggled over healthy ponies and glossy calves, a battered stock trailer squeaked toward the loading ramp, and inside stood a bay gelding whose drooping head and swollen right foreleg drew only pitying stares and impatient frowns amid dusty wooden rails. A ragged auction tag with a number 46 dangled from the gelding's halter, but even that paper seemed ready to fall, flapping in the breeze as if embarrassed to be seen despite painful reminders. The auctioneer cleared his throat through a crackling speaker and rattled off figures for a pair of sturdy draft mules, and the crowd pressed forward, ignoring the injured horse as though he were invisible in the chorus of crows. Kiera's best friend, Mateo, whispered that nobody in their right mind would pay feed prices for an animal that might never run again. Yet she could not pull her eyes from the horse's calm, liquid gaze while vendors hawked snacks. The gelding shifted his weight to ease the swollen leg, and a soft grunt of pain escaped him, curling in the air like a tiny cloud no one wanted to notice through twinkling motes. Kiera thought about her late grandma's words. The ones left behind often carry the biggest hearts, and those words hummed louder than the auctioneer's rapid chant as tractors hummed nearby. A man in a wide hat sneered, predicting the bay would fetch more at the rendering plant than the show ring, and laughter rippled through nearby bidders like pebbles tossed in a still pond among worn leather boots. The joke stung Kiera, but also lit a spark of boldness that steadied her nerves and made her straighten until her shoulders felt taller than old barn rafters during crackling chatter. She recognized the gelding's scared shuffle, because she had limped through gym class after spraining her ankle last semester, ignored by most classmates until a bandage came off over rising barn aromas. Dust swirled under the pens, catching morning sunbeams that looked like glowing ropes, and the bay gelding's mane lifted in the light breeze, reminding her of frayed satin ribbons on a forgotten trophy beside bright pennant flags. She wondered if he once carried a proud rider across green fields before stepping in the gopher hole that ruined his chance of being loved again near chipped red poles. A volunteer vet stood nearby, writing notes on a clipboard. He shook his head sadly and circled the horse's tag number in red, a sign that medical costs might be higher than his value across grassy paddock edges. Kiera wiped her nose on her sleeve, pretending allergies, because admitting tears in front of ranchers and traders felt like painting a target on her back against creaking metal bars. The auctioneer's gavel hammered twice, ending the sale of the mules, and he pointed toward the bay gelding with yawning boredom, announcing, "Next up, lot 46, injured gelding, sold as is, no guarantees beyond painted show rings." Conversation dimmed as if people had turned down a radio nobody liked, and only 3 half-hearted bids came from older men who probably wanted cheap hay burners for their grandchildren's weekend rides within echoing loudspeakers. Kiera's small voice squeaked when she raised her bidder card, and the auctioneer's eyebrows jumped, surprised that a girl her size dared enter the contest without missing a beat. One man countered by adding $10, but Kiera lifted her card again, jaw clenched like a latch inside her racing thoughts. The man shrugged and stepped back, muttering that the animal was too much trouble, and silence filled the gap like heavy fog over a swamp beneath drifting cotton clouds. The gavel slammed once more, the sound bouncing off metal gates, and the auctioneer declared, "Sold to the young lady in green," making Kiera's knees wobble with sudden victory and fear across the sun-dappled dust. A chuckle rolled through the crowd, part amused, part sympathetic, as though they were watching a puppy chasing a freight train around curious stairs. Her savings had vanished with that single crack of wood, and the purse felt oddly lighter even though it still hung at her side into the scroll of memories. Mateo clapped her shoulder and whispered that Brave sometimes looks crazy until the ending proves otherwise, and she tried to believe him between nervous heartbeats. The gelding lifted his head, nostrils quivering, and for one breath their eyes locked, sharing a promise neither fully understood but both desperately needed toward an unseen future. A handler led the horse toward the back pens, and Kiera followed, stepping around puddles where nervous animals had spilled water that reflected the whole scene like shaky mirrors along splintered fence rails. Every footstep felt sticky with doubt, yet excitement fluttered inside her like a nest of sparrows about to take flight inside the horse's sigh. She whispered a new name for him, Chance, because second chances start with belief, and the word tasted like warm cocoa on a cold day across a hush of wonder. The handler glanced back and nodded approval, saying that a fitting name might be the best medicine for a broken spirit beneath her steady breath. Sunlight climbed higher, brightening the fairgrounds while loudspeakers announced corndog specials, but Kira's world had shrunk to the steady rhythm of Chance's uneven hoofbeats against the ground beside Mateo's grin. She signed purchase papers with a trembling pen, aware that responsibility now stretched around her like an invisible lead rope she must never drop into Chance's dark eye. The vet returned, offering advice on cold hosing and stall rest, though he warned that recovery carried no promises, only possibilities shaped by care and time past rows of trailers. Kira listened hard, nodding until her neck hurt, because every instruction felt like a stepping stone laid across a wide river through the smell of hay. Nearby, a boy teased that the horse looked like a crooked stick nobody could straighten, and embarrassment pricked her cheeks redder than barn paint above scattered straw. She answered softly that sticks can sprout leaves if planted in good soil, a line she made up on the spot yet believed with growing certainty along rumbling lanes. The boy blinked, unsure how to reply, and she took that silence as her first small win behind the bustling pens. A soft nicker from Chance floated over the pen, almost like a thank you spoken in a language only courageous hearts could hear by the distant carousel. Kira exhaled slowly, feeling the fairground air sweep away her fear and replace it with purpose that settled deep and steady under ringing cowbells. Kira's dad arrived with their rattling pickup and small livestock trailer, staring in disbelief when he realized his daughter had emptied her savings on a limping horse that looked like yesterday's bad luck walking on four shaky legs along the winding route. She braced for anger, but he only sighed, rubbed his stubble, and said responsibility starts with choices, handing her the lead rope like a knight offering the weight of a new sword beneath bright sunrise. Getting Chance to step up the trailer ramp took patient coaxing with apple slices, gentle clicks, and soft words that floated through the air sweeter than any lullaby Kira remembered from childhood in their quiet resolve. Each uncertain hoof thudded on plywood, echoing through the metal walls like a thunder roll, and when the last hoof settled, the girl exhaled a shaky laugh she had held for far too long beside rattling windows. The drive home crawled along bumpy farm roads where rows of corn swayed like spectators waving green flags, and Chance balanced awkwardly at every turn, testing Kira's knot-tying skills despite jangling nerves. Mateo followed on his bike, kicking up little bursts of dust so he would arrive too, ready to help because believing in a dream feels easier when friends pedal beside it with wheels humming low. At Thompson Farm, the family's only spare stall still smelled of old straw and winter rain, so they shoveled, swept, and laid fresh bedding until the floor looked like a golden cloud ready to cradle sore legs across bumpy ridges. Kira filled buckets with clear water from the pump, counting heartbeats while it swirled, imagining every drop as a promise to cool heated muscles and cleanse fear through cool spring air. The vet came that evening, wrapping Chance's leg with padded bandages, explaining that torn tendons heal slowly, like threads weaving back together with patience instead of needles past sleepy sparrows. He prescribed strict stall rest, icing sessions, and gentle walking, warning that shortcuts now could lead to lifelong pain, and Kira nodded so firmly her ponytail slapped her shoulders within gentle patience. She posted a hand-drawn schedule on the tackroom wall listing treatment times beside her math homework reminders, blending algebra and animal care into one organized adventure inside chalk-scented halls. School mornings began before sunrise. She fed Chance measured scoops of grain and whistled a silly tune that made him perk his ears, proof that music sometimes works better than medicine under flickering lights. During first period science, she secretly sketched diagram labels for horse leg anatomy instead of volcano layers, earning a gentle scold from her teacher who then added, "It's still science, just a different species," amid curious glances. At lunch, she researched rehabilitation videos on the library computer, jotting notes about strength-building stretches while other students debated video games and cafeteria pizza beyond cafeteria chatter. Every afternoon, she swapped sneakers for muddy boots, racing the setting sun to hose Chance's leg with icy water until steam rose like early morning mist over lake glass through determined steps. She talked while she worked, telling him stories about math quizzes, hallway gossip, and her dream of seeing him gallop across the back pasture like a kite freed from a knot under rusty rafters. Chance listened, eyes half closed, jaw twitching in lazy contentment, and sometimes he answered with a rumbling nicker that felt as encouraging as a coach's halftime pep talk behind silver water troughs. Weeks slid by marked not by calendar pages but by shrinking swelling and how easily Chance shifted weight, little victories that tasted better than birthday cake within fluttering hope. Kira's mom, once skeptical, began bringing carrot tops from the kitchen, and she laughed when a horse licked treats from her hand, finding in that ticklish tug a surprise fondness for the once pitiful bay without losing rhythm. Mateo learned to change bandages, and together they worked like a tiny pit crew, timing each wrap and celebrating whenever they beat the previous record by a single second around lingering doubts. They installed a second-hand ceiling fan above the stall to keep flies away, stringing extension cords with careful loops so no curious muzzle found trouble beneath buzzing insects. Nights grew warmer and crickets sang back up while Kira read training articles aloud, discovering words like progressive loading and groundwork that sounded complicated but meant starting slow and building trust across dew-tipped grass. One Saturday morning, Chance took 3 even steps without flinching, and Kira screamed with joy, startling sleepy barn cats who darted under hay bales like living streaks of gray lightning among cheering crickets. She logged the moment in a spiral notebook labeled Recovery Diary, adding a smiley sticker because accomplishments deserve confetti, even paper confetti between raindrop lullabies. Rainstorms swept through, drumming on the tin roof, and Kira spent those hours brushing Chance until his coat glistened like polished mahogany despite the gloomy sky toward brighter mornings. She discovered a small white scar hidden under his mane, wondering what story it told, deciding scars were medals for bravery in battles long past along budding hedges. After exams week, the vet returned, pleased to see reduced swelling, though he stressed that patience still mattered, comparing tendons to ropes that fray faster than they mend amid songbird trill. He allowed short walks outside, saying fresh grass offers vitamins and fresh sights offer courage, instructions that made Kira's grin stretch ear to ear in golden twilight hush. Leading Chance from the stall felt like guiding a king from a broken throne toward a waiting kingdom of sunlit clover past creaking hinges. He sniffed the breeze, ears flicking at meadowlarks, and Kira's heart swelled bigger than the wide blue sky above them beside starlit rafters. The old barn dog trotted beside them, tail wagging, as if to officiate the ceremony of first steps into freedom, and even wind chimes on the porch seemed to chime in applause. Chance lowered his muzzle to the grass, taking slow bites, and each crunch sounded like pages turning in a new chapter neither of them could predict yet. Kira set her phone timer for 5 minutes, walking small circles, counting steps aloud so Chance knew the routine, her voice a metronome of comfort. When time was up, she led him back, fighting the urge to keep going, reminding herself that true strength grows in layers like tree rings, not leaps. Evening light painted long shadows through the barn aisles, and dust motes danced like tiny fairies celebrating the return of hope where bleakness once sat. Before bed, she whispered good night and promised to dream big enough for both of them, though she suspected Chance already dreamed of open fields and the roar of wind in his mane. She closed the stall door gently, so the latch clicked soft as a kitten's yawn, then tiptoed away, heart full yet restless for tomorrow. In her room, she taped a new poster above her desk showing a champion jumper clearing a bright red oxer, and she wrote beneath it, "Impossible only means not tried yet." That phrase glowed in her mind as sleep finally folded around her, sewing scenes of future rides into the fabric of her dreams. Summer vacation arrived with cicadas buzzing like tiny generators, and Kira used the extra daylight to expand Chance's walking route beyond the barnyard, marking trail cones out of bright orange juice jugs so he could practice turns without stumbling under blazing sunshine. She discovered that humming pop songs kept her steps even, so she sang the latest chart hit, swapping difficult high notes for horsey snorts that made her giggle and kept Chance relaxed along lazy creek banks. Mateo filmed short clips for a social studies project on local hero stories, insisting that saving a lame horse counted as community inspiration, and his smartphone shook with laughter whenever Chance tried to nibble the lens within hopeful chatter. They built a homemade obstacle course from pool noodles and broom handles, teaching the gelding to sidestep, back up, and touch a target flag, each new skill recorded in the recovery diary like leveling up in a quest game beyond dusty paddocks. The vet approved light trot sets, but only in straight lines, comparing tendons to rubber bands that snap when yanked sideways, and Kira treated that advice as holy law amid buzzing dragonflies. The first trot felt like floating on fragile soap bubbles. Chance's hooves tapped the dirt softly, and Kira counted 4 strides before easing him to a walk, cheering as though he had broken an Olympic record beside stacked fence posts. She rewarded him with apple pieces soaked in cinnamon, a trick her grandma swore strengthened lung power, though nobody could prove it. Still, Chance seemed to love the spicy sweetness through shimmering heat. One cloudy afternoon, the gelding spooked at a flapping tarp, bolting 3 crooked steps that sent a jab of fear down Kira's spine, but he stopped when she whispered, "We're safe," proving their trust ran deeper than panic past rolling hayfields. That night, she rewound the moment in her head like slow-motion replay, deciding to desensitize Chance to strange sights by hanging streamers and umbrellas around the paddock like carnival decorations beneath watchful crows. At first, he snorted at the bright colors, but soon curiosity nudged fear aside, and he nosed the rattling plastic strips until they bored him more than algebra homework inside swirling breezes. Kira's younger brother, Toby, offered to paint a bold sign reading Chance's own of bravery, and though his letters wobbled, they stood like proud guardians at the gate across cheerful faces. When neighbors walked by, they applauded the spectacle, and one donated an old exercise ball the size of a beach sunset, which Chance eventually pushed around like a playful puppy along painted pole lines. Newspaper columnist Mrs. Delano stopped for an interview, jotting notes about youthful determination and rural resilience, promising a feature story in next week's Friday edition under protective skylights. The article ran with a photo of Kira hugging Chance's neck under giant oak trees, and classmates who once teased her now asked for autographs on ripped notebook paper, amazed that someone their age starred in local news within rhythmic hoofbeats. Confidence bloomed in Kira like sunflowers leaning toward warmth, and she found herself volunteering answers in science class instead of pretending to be invisible behind raised textbooks among curious onlookers. Chance's progress mirrored her own. As he grew stronger, she walked taller, discovering that healing runs both directions between caretaker and creature through gentle laughter. Mateo organized a small fundraiser car wash in the grocery parking lot, raising money for vet bills, and the community's generosity soaked their sponges and spirits alike under patchwork clouds. Even the store manager joined, scrubbing windshields while explaining that kindness is like soap. It lifts grit so shine can reappear beyond rainbow arcs. With bills manageable, the vet introduced pole work exercises, and Kira arranged ground poles in rainbow patterns, making each session look more like an art project than physical therapy inside growing pride. She clapped rhythmically, counting 1, 2, 3, 4, as Chance carefully stepped over the poles, muscles rippling under his sleek coat like rivers under moonlight around rustling oak leaves. After cooling down, she massaged his leg with liniment, the minty scent filling the barn and tickling her nose until she sneezed loud enough to startle the roosting pigeons across calm evening air. Toby laughed from the hayloft, dropping a handful of feathers that fluttered around them like lazy snowflakes, and Chance flicked an ear in amused surprise along shadowy lanes. The vet scheduled a follow-up ultrasound, showing healing fibers knitting steadily, and gave cautious approval for short canter bursts next month if progress remained steady amid silvery moonbeams. To celebrate, Kira and Mateo created a victory playlist blasting from a battery speaker, and they danced badly but joyfully while mucking stalls, turning chores into a barnyard disco beneath cricket serenades. Chance watched their moves with mild interest, swishing his tail to the beat, proving even horses can appreciate questionable dance enthusiasm within glowing comfort. When thunderclouds rolled across the valley, they moved training indoors to the old riding arena, where leaky roof panels dripped like metronomes keeping time. Under dim lights, they practiced leading over a low wooden bridge, the thunder outside rumbling like distant applause for every successful crossing. Kira noticed that each challenge improved not only Chance's coordination but her patience, stretching it like taffy until nothing seemed impossible anymore. Her parents, once cautious, now bragged about the pair to relatives, sharing progress photos during Sunday video calls, and pride sparkled in eyes that used to reflect only worry. A local therapeutic riding center invited Kira to speak about rehabilitation, and she nervously accepted, sensing an opportunity bigger than their backyard paddock. She prepared flashcards with simple words so younger kids could follow, and Chance would make a guest appearance pending vet approval. On presentation day, the audience of children cheered when the bay gelding walked in, ears pricked and leg wrapped only by a slim support brace instead of bulky bandages. Kira explained that setbacks are like potholes. You slow down, steer carefully, and keep traveling, a metaphor that drew nods from wheelchair-bound listeners who understood challenges firsthand. Chance demonstrated a gentle bow learned during boredom breaks, and applause thundered bigger than any storm that rattled the old arena roof. The center director thanked Kira, noting that her story proved rescue extends beyond animals, reaching every heart touched by determination. Driving home, she felt lighter than helium balloons, thinking how a single risky bid at an auction turned into a road map of possibilities branching in every direction. That evening, she added a glittery star sticker beside the diary entry, marking the first day Chance served as a teacher as well as a student. She whispered to him that heroes come in many shapes, some with capes and some with bandaged legs, and he sniffed her sleeve as if accepting the compliment graciously. Fireflies blinked across the pasture like floating applause lights while they watched the dusky sky fade to velvet, sharing silence comfortable as an old quilt. By early autumn, the County Fair Committee announced a new Hope Rides exhibition class celebrating rescue animals, and the moment Kira read the flyer taped to the feed store window, her pulse leapt like a firecracker in a tin can beneath golden harvest skies. The exhibition required a walk, trot, canter pattern, plus a short personal story delivered over speakers, perfect for Chance's abilities and Kira's growing confidence in public speaking amid flickering fair lights. She filled out the entry form, hand shaking just enough to blur her cursive, and slid it into the wooden drop box before nerves could chase her back to the truck within determined silence. Training ramped up steadily. The vet-approved canter bursts limited to 20 strides, so Kira measured the back pasture with bright cones, transforming grass into a green racetrack through crisp barn aromas. Chance's first canter felt like a triumph parade. His hooves drummed steady and even, each stride a clear note in an anthem of recovery along painted pasture rails. They cooled out at the creek, water splashing around fetlocks, and Mateo captured slow-motion videos where droplets shimmered like tiny diamonds falling from victorious crown-past fields of russet leaves. Social media liked the clips. Classmates who once rolled eyes now typed encouraging emojis, and the local feed store reposted the video with the caption "Miracles in Motion" under watchful barn swallows. Positive attention embarrassed Kira a little, but she let it fuel her grit, waking before dawn to practice pivot turns under pink skies while barn swallows drew figure eights overhead across rolling patchwork hills. She borrowed a faded but well-fitting English saddle from the riding center, polishing its leather until it shone like toffee under barn lights within echoing hoofbeats. Her dad stapled plywood sheets into practice judge panels, so Chance could grow accustomed to strange shapes appearing ringside amid rising community cheer. The gelding snorted at first, but soon he strutted past like a movie star ignoring paparazzi, and Kira grinned so wide her cheeks cramped beneath colorful pennants. One afternoon, a surprise cold snap tightened Chance's healing tendon, making him limp slightly, and dread dropped into Kira's stomach like a stone around hopeful, eager claps. The vet advised 3 days of stall rest with anti-inflammatory paste and extra warm-up time afterward, reminding her that progress never follows perfect straight lines above swirling cedar scent. Though disappointment pricked, she obeyed, spending rest days brushing Chance's coat until it gleamed, whispering stories of future glory to keep spirits from sagging under clanging metal hinges. Mateo built a small wooden pedestal, teaching Chance to step up slowly, building balance and confidence while keeping work low impact along fluttering judge cards. Chance loved the new trick, posing like a circus star, and Toby painted the base bright blue, so photos popped with cheerful color that matched rising optimism across shimmering dewy turf. When the limp faded, Kira reintroduced trot poles, spacing them wider to encourage longer strides that gently re-strengthened muscle fibers between moments of triumph. She counted strides aloud, her voice steady as a drumline, and Chance pricked his ears, matching rhythm like a dancer following music through headphones inside the glow of resolve. Saturday afternoons turned into miniature horse clinics. Neighbors watched from lawn chairs, and Kira shared tips she had learned, realizing teaching others deepened her own understanding around faithful family smiles. The vet visited again, marveling at scar tissue so orderly it looked like fine lace threading under skin, and he stamped the health certificate required for show entry beneath bright market banners. Paperwork in hand, Kira focused on ring etiquette, practicing halts at markers made from upside-down flower pots painted neon orange across wind-rustled maples. She studied videos of top equestrians, noticing subtle cues like seat weight and calf pressure. Then she mimicked these cues in slow motion until they felt like second nature inside steady breathing. Chance's canter circles grew rounder, his transitions smoother than sliding doors, and his ears flicked eagerly toward every new challenge amid flashing phone cameras. When school assigned a history project, Kira chose the evolution of horse domestication, blending academic duty with her passion, so homework never stole training time around puddles reflecting stars. She presented the project using stick figure drawings across the board, and classmates applauded, half because it was creative and half because they rooted for Chance's upcoming debut beneath warm stable lanterns. Rain soaked the farm the week before the fair, turning pastures to mud soup, but Kira donned rubber boots and modified drills inside the arena, refusing to let weather derail preparation through chill October breezes. She introduced tarp bridges again, this time with puddles around them, teaching Chance to trust her guidance even when footing looked scary and squishy amid spiraling leaf showers. He hesitated twice, then stepped with surer feet, and each successful crossing made the fair seem less like a dream and more like tomorrow's sunrise waiting to happen around muffled, distant music. The night before trailer loading practice, Kira polished Chance's bridle until every brass buckle reflected her excited grin, and she braided his black mane with green ribbons matching her lucky hoodie beneath the scent of popcorn. Mateo arrived carrying poster boards that read Team Chance and glued glitter stars all over, laughing when glue dripped onto his sneakers but refusing to wipe it away because sparkle counts as spirit along moonlit country roads. They ran through the exhibition pattern under barn lights, Toby announcing like a fairground commentator, voice cracking in places but enthusiasm rock steady. Chance executed the final halt square and proud, and Kira's dad clapped from the barn door, eyes misty though he blamed the cool night air. After untacking, she wrapped the horse's legs with fresh standing bandages, her fingers moving with practiced precision and quiet gratitude for every lesson patience had taught. She whispered bedtime promises of calm nerves tomorrow, because horses read hearts, and she wanted Chance to feel only determination, not fear. The moon rose high, shining silver on dewy grass, and barn owls hooted approval as if they too awaited the fair's grand stage. Kira lay awake rehearsing her announcement speech, trimming big words into smaller ones until a sixth grader could follow every phrase, making the message as clear and strong as her bond with Chance. She printed cue cards in giant font, taping them inside the trailer so last-minute nerves could not erase practice lines. Before dawn, she would load hay nets, water jugs, and a small lucky horseshoe keychain gifted by the riding center children, believing small tokens we big courage. Sleep finally fluttered over her like a soft blanket, and she dreamed of bright arena spotlights, applause, and the steady beat of hooves on perfect footing. Outside, Chance dozed beneath quiet stars, muscles relaxed yet ready, as if he too envisioned trotting proudly before crowds who once thought him worthless. Fair day dawned pink and gold, and Kira's alarm rang at 4:30. She bolted upright, adrenaline fizzing like soda bubbles in her veins while owls still hooted sleepy farewells outside as dawn colors melted into peach glow. Dad's pickup growled to life, trailer lights blinking like fireflies, and they rolled down country roads where fog-hugged cornfields, painting the world soft and mysterious with morning chill clinging to her sleeves. Chance munched hay calmly, his travel boots secured with neon wraps, every chew a reassuring metronome, tapping out courage in a hush broken only by humming tires. Kira recited her speech under her breath, adjusting helmet straps and triple-checking that her cue cards waited in the trailer tack box beneath shifting curtains of river fog. At the fairgrounds, the air smelled of funnel cakes, popcorn, and fresh sawdust, a carnival perfume that mixed excitement with a hint of nerves amid aromas swirling like storybook pages. Volunteers waved vehicles to assigned spots, and Kira guided Dad backward until the trailer lined up beside colorful banners flapping like giant applause hands while cheerful neon blinking out sleepy stars. Chance backed down the ramp with slow grace. Spectators nearby paused, noticing the heeled leg brace but more impressed by his calm eyes and shiny coat across gravel crunching beneath bold wheels. Mateo appeared wearing a DIY Team Chance shirt splattered with glitter, handing Kira a travel mug of cocoa, because champions need sugar as much as stallions need hay inside rhythms of hooves against rubber mats. Check-in required presenting the vet certificate, and the official smiled broadly, saying the paperwork was perfect, and so was the gelding's polite demeanor as cocoa steam fogged her helmet visor. Warm-up arena buzzed with horses snorting and riders adjusting stirrups, yet Chance walked in without hesitation, ears swiveling like radar, but body relaxed under canvas banners snapping approval overhead. They eased into trot circles, and the gelding's gait felt butter smooth. Each stride a silent thank you for endless ice wraps and patient treatments beside midway rides idle before opening. Onlookers whispered that the bay moved surprisingly sound, and Kira's spine straightened, soaking in confidence like sunshine on cold skin through rising sun rays striping dusty parking rows. Announcers called entries by tag number. Hearing number 12, Kira Thompson riding Chance, sent a thrill up her arms as they headed toward the in-gate pass ticket booths painted carnival red and gold. The arena looked massive, white rails gleaming under spotlights and colorful flower boxes dotted corners, but Kira breathed deep and squeezed gently, signaling a bold forward walk within echoes of early laughter and distant roosters. The pattern began with a halt at X. Chance stopped square as a statue, and applause flickered around the stands like distant fireworks around popcorn kettles warming for lunchtime crowds. They trotted the diagonal, hooves tapping cadence that echoed off bleachers, and Kira counted 8 strides before transitioning to a collected walk exactly at the letter C under grandstand shadows stretching like long ladders. A smooth canter followed, and wind tugged her braid as Chance floated past Judge Booth's. His ears flicked back listening but never wobbling in doubt among silver bleachers waiting for cheering feet. The final halt landed perfectly, and Kira saluted, heart hammering so hard she feared the microphone clipped to her vest might pick it up through microphone tests crackling in empty seats. Judge Smiles signaled success. Next came the speech portion, so she guided Chance to center ring where a portable speaker crackled to life across bright sawdust paths flecked with confetti straw. She told their story in simple words. An unwanted horse, a risky bit, endless care, and a lesson that worth is not measured by first impressions in corridors lined with hay bales stacked like walls. Every sentence flowed smoothly, practiced yet sincere, and she noticed audience eyes glistening like morning dew as announcers rehearsed tongue-twister phrases softly. She ended with, "Sometimes hope walks on 4 legs, and sometimes it rides on 2, a line that earned cheers loud enough to ruffle Chance's mane beside fresh painted railings smelling of pine resin. The pair exited to a chorus of whinnies from waiting horses and applause from strangers who now felt like friends within faint carousel music drifting sweetly. Outside the gate, Mateo high-fived her so hard the smack echoed off steel beams, and Toby jumped in circles waving a sparkly sign until glitter rained down like confetti around clusters of balloons bobbing like tiny planets. Final judging took place after all entrants performed, so they cooled Chance under shade trees, offering sips of water and tiny carrot coins beneath streamers fluttering multicolored heartbeats. Kira's stomach twisted with nerves, so Dad bought her a corn dog, insisting fair food cures jitters better than fancy supplements past prize pumpkins glowing huge in display stalls. She nibbled between deep breaths, watching flags flutter, while carnival music drifted from the midway like a playful soundtrack to wading through whistle of wind-tugging plastic tablecloths. At last riders lined up in the grandstand. Ribbons dangled from a steward's arm, their satin tails catching afternoon light inside whiffs of soap and leather from tack vendors. The announcer thanked participants, reminding everyone that rescue stories prove kindness possible, then began calling placements starting backward from 10th around rooster crows echoing over public address horns. When 4th place went to a handsome paint gelding, Kira's pulse thumped louder. 3rd went to a miniature donkey with a rescued soldier handler beneath bunting triangles dancing playful zigzags. 2nd place belonged to a dapple gray mare who overcame starvation, and the pause before 1st felt long enough to grow corn as sunlight glittered on merry-go-round mirrors. 1st place in Hope Rides goes to Kira Thompson and Chance, boomed the speaker, and Kira's vision blurred with tears of disbelief within slow thud of generators powering cotton candy drums. She guided Chance forward. A broad blue ribbon hung around his neck, and a silver plate trophy gleamed like captured moonlight in her shaking hands inside joyful chaos painted on children's faces. Crowd noise swelled, cheers, whistles, clapping, and Chance arched his neck, basking in glory that once seemed impossible among flags waving thanks to gentle breeze gusts. Cameras clicked, capturing moments that would travel beyond county borders, proving second chances can gallop farther than anyone expects across distant cheer from tractor pull rehearsals. Reporters asked questions, and Kira answered between gentle pats on Chance's neck, telling them dedication and friendship bridged every obstacle under soft chatter of families arriving early. An older rancher approached, hat in hand, admitting he had once laughed at the idea of saving a lame horse, but now saw courage stamped in both girl and gelding. He offered a free load of alfalfa as apology and support, and Kira accepted, heart swelling bigger than the blue ribbon fluttering in fall breeze. Sun dipped low, painting sky streaks of orange and lavender, and fairlights flicked on, twinkling like distant galaxies celebrating the triumph. 1 week after the fair, the local newspaper headline read, "Injured auction horse wins blue ribbon," and copies vanished from racks faster than lemonade on a July afternoon, spreading the story like dandelion seeds on windy hills beneath a horizon glowing soft amber. Letters and emails poured in, many from kids who felt invisible like Chance once did, thanking Kira for proving broken beginnings can bloom into bright victories within distant church bells chiming noon. The riding center invited her to lead a monthly confidence clinic, pairing rescued horses with shy students, and she accepted, heart fluttering like a lark discovering open sky around whispers carried by prairie wind. Chance, now walking and trotting sound, became a patient teacher. His calm presence turned nervous hands steady, and each gentle lesson stitched courage into young riders' hearts under branches rustling gentle applause. One morning the vet removed the last brace, declaring the gelding fit for light jumping in a few months, if conditioning progressed carefully amid scents of clover and fresh ink. Kira's grin stretched so wide she feared her cheeks might crack, and Chance tossed his mane as though laughing at her exaggerated delight across telephone lines buzzing with news. To celebrate, they organized a small exhibition at the farm, inviting neighbors, classmates, and anyone curious about second chances inside warmth of neighborly smiles. Toby crafted wooden benches, Mateo set up a lemonade stand, and Mom baked carrot cupcakes topped with tiny sugar horseshoes that vanished almost instantly along gravel lanes dusted by sunrise. Kira rode Chance through a simple pattern, demonstrating transitions, pedestal tricks, and a playful bow that earned oohs and ahs louder than cicada choirs through lingering taste of victory caramel. Dad, filming from a lawn chair, wiped an eye when nobody watched, realizing the gamble his daughter made grew into something priceless, a living example of perseverance under canvas banners snapping approval overhead. After the show, Mrs. Delano presented Kira a framed copy of her first article, signed by the entire editorial staff, acknowledging that stories of hope remind journalists why words matter past Barnes painted red against morning fog. The mayor, wearing a straw hat, stepped forward announcing a new kindness initiative, pledging small community grants to people who adopt or rehabilitate animals in need around lazy cats lounging on hay bales. Applause thundered across the pasture, and Chance pranced proudly, somehow understanding the moment belonged to every soul who chooses compassion within slow creak of rocking chairs. Weeks passed in joyful routine. Kira balanced homework, clinics, and training, discovering time stretches kindly when tasks feed the heart rather than drain it beneath quilted clouds drifting idle. She prepared for their first low-level jump session, laying poles on ground lines and stacking tiny cross rails no higher than her knees across meadowlark songs echoing bright. Before mounting, she traced the white scar beneath Chance's mane, whispering that scars remind us not of pain, but of paths walked toward better places inside crisp notebook pages turning. He cleared the first cross rail with ease, landing softly. Cheers from Mateo and Toby echoed through the trees like happy drums around sweet notes of lemongrass tea. They ended after 3 flawless efforts, obeying the vet's rule of moderation, and cooled out along the creek where dragonflies danced on mirrored water under twirling leaves shading quiet paths. That night, Kira posted a video titled First Jump of New Life, and views climbed so rapidly the Riding Center's website crashed from shared links beneath flagpoles clacking steady rhythm. Messages arrived from rescue groups requesting permission to share the footage during fundraising galas, believing Chance's leap would nudge donors' hearts wider open inside pockets jingling with luck coins. Kira agreed, adding only that each presentation includes simple language so younger viewers could understand every word, staying true to her 6th-grade clarity promise around warm lantern glow at dusk. Winter approached, and crisp air carried the smell of chimney smoke. Still, training continued, using the indoor arena lit by twinkling string lights left over from a holiday parade rehearsal across backyard fences sharing gossip. Snowflakes drifted through cracked windows, swirling like feathered confetti, yet Chance cantered warm and sure, muscles rippling under a fleece cooler sewn by Mom, within fire pit sparks swirling upward. Between ride sets, Kira taught new students how to hold reins gently, comparing them to steering bicycles, a metaphor young minds grasped quickly under scented pine beams of the arena. She created laminated cards showing steps of wound care, ensuring every child who finished the program could treat future horses with knowledge as well as affection through calm hush of snowfall drifting. Donations flowed, allowing the center to adopt 2 more neglected ponies, and Kira helped draft rehabilitation plans, realizing leadership grows from service around peppermint steam curling upward. During a school assembly, she delivered a speech titled Courage in Unexpected Places, receiving a standing ovation and a request to mentor the debate team on persuasive storytelling beneath swirling powdered sugar snow. She laughed at the irony. Once she hid behind notebooks, now her voice carried across auditoriums and barn aisles with steady confidence within colors of scrapwood jump poles. Chance enjoyed semi-retired mornings grazing open fields, yet pricked his ears whenever Kira approached the saddle, ready for next adventures amid faint tapping of typewriter keys. Spring returned, painting the valley bright green, and posters for the next county fair appeared, this time featuring Chance's silhouette as the official rescue ambassador across horizon lines drawn in chalk. The committee asked Kira to ride in the opening parade. She agreed, hoping their presence would inspire someone else to believe in overlooked potential inside gentle thud of hoofprints and frost. On parade day, Chance trotted down Main Street beside marching bands and antique tractors, blue ribbon tied to his bridle, and hooves striking rhythm with drum corps beats. Spectators clapped, children waved, and Kira handed out small pins reading Choose Chance, reminding everyone that every choice holds power. Afterward, she met a nervous 12-year-old named Lila, who whispered she wanted to rescue a skinny chestnut gelding at next month's auction but feared failure. Kira placed her blue ribbon in Lila's hands, saying victories grow bigger when shared, and promised to attend the auction beside her. Tears sparkled in Lila's eyes, and a new circle of hope began turning, fueled by a teenage girl's impossible decision made months ago. That night, the pasture hummed with frogs and crickets while Chance nudged Kira's pocket for treats, reminding her that stories never truly end. They ripple outward like rings on a pond. She laughed, feeding him apple slices, wondering how many lives one rescued horse might touch before running out of miracles. Stars glittered overhead, each one a silent witness to faith rewarded, and Kira felt small yet mighty among constellations older than time. She whispered, "Good night, partner. Tomorrow we ride again." And the wind carried her promise across moonlit grass where possibilities waited like open gates. Summer melted into a bright new school year, and Kira stepped onto the auditorium stage to accept a tall crystal award that read Youth Ambassador of Compassion, its letters shining like morning frost beneath theater lights. Chance waited outside in a trailer trimmed with streamers, and his soft whinny drifted through the lobby doors each time applause burst inside, reminding everyone that the real hero wore a halter, not a tuxedo. After the ceremony, reporters stood around them, asking if the Blue Ribbon Tale would become a book, and Kira laughed that she liked living chapters more than writing them, though she did keep a diary. The mayor gave her an envelope with a scholarship to vet camp, saying caring hands deserve expert training, and Kira's cheeks glowed like an August sunset as she hugged him. That night, the Thompsons ate grilled corn under fairy lights while neighbors stroked Chance and tossed coins into a coffee can labeled Future Rescues. Dad counted the donations aloud, and each new total drew cheers louder than fireworks, proving a small town can roar like a stadium when kindness sits at the center. Mateo brought flyers for a charity trail ride called the Second Chance Challenge, with fees funding rescue bids, and Kira offered to design the trail markers. Toby promised to film a promo video starring Chance doing his bow and pedestal tricks, which made the gelding perk his ears as if ready for Hollywood. Late that evening, Kira walked into the quiet pasture carrying a lantern, finding her horse grazing beneath a meteor-speckled sky, each streak showing how fast hope can brighten darkness. She whispered that tomorrow's riders would find sparks because of his story, and Chance lifted his head, breathing clover-scented night air. During the next month, they mapped a 5-mile trail, tying ribbons on trees and stocking rest stops with apple slices for horses and cookies for riders. The riding center loaned extra helmets, and local farmers cleared hay wagons to shuttle spectators, turning the plan from small fundraiser to county festival almost overnight. On practice day, Kira and Chance trotted the full loop, smiling at every fluttering ribbon, because each strip felt like a sign pointing toward brave choices. The vet inspected the gelding later, saying his tendon was strong enough for the public ride, but reminding her that the goal was steady hearts, not speed. Posters filled shop windows, social media buzzed with countdown graphics, and Kira filmed a simple invitation ending with, "Kind acts carry far." Sign-ups poured in so fast the team borrowed extra field space for parking, and the fair board gladly supplied orange cones, proud to help a bloom that had started on their own grounds. Event morning dawned cool and misty. Horses unloaded calmly, while volunteers clipped numbered tags to saddles, each tag bearing a tiny silhouette of Chance jumping a crescent moon. Kira led the opening pledge, asking riders to help one another on steep parts, and even seasoned cowboys nodded, inspired by the teen who had rekindled their faith. A brass band from the middle school played lively marches as the procession started, hooves crunching dew-wet grass in rhythm with horns to make music no composer could score. Along the ridge, sunlight washed over the single file like liquid gold, and Kira's chest swelled each time she saw the ribbon of riders stretch around the bend. At checkpoint 1, Lila, the girl who got Kira's blue ribbon, waved proudly from her shiny chestnut, proving courage is contagious. Chance nudged the younger horse gently, passing a silent torch, and the chestnut snorted happily like a calm big brother. Volunteers read fun rehab facts aloud between mile markers, so wagon riding kids could learn why slow care often wins bigger battles than quick fixes. Near the creek, crossing, a photographer snapped Kira guiding Chance through silver water that splashed like diamonds, a picture that would later headline the state paper. Midway along, Mateo's drone buzzed overhead, filming an aerial mosaic of colored helmets weaving through forest corridors. Riders cheered whenever the drone dipped its wings, making technology a friendly mascot floating above their mission. At the final meadow, spectators waved banners and rang cowbells, and Toby's camera caught tears on more than one old rancher's face as the once unwanted gelding led the pack. After horses cooled, everyone picnicked on quilts while Kira shared the mic with Lila, who told how she saved coins to bid on her chestnut. Gentle clapping rolled across the field. An unspoken promise rose that next year even more rescues would stand where only a few now graced. An auction official announced a special youth hour with lower fees at their next sale, citing the Thompson story as reason for the change. Pride bloomed inside Kira like sunrise, because real change had stepped beyond ribbons into rules shaping future chances. Awards included horseshoe medals hammered by the blacksmith, and when Chance received the first finisher token, he shook his mane, scattering sunlight like confetti. Volunteers tallied proceeds, enough to save 12 horses, pay medical exams, and fill the riding center's feed room through winter. The mayor unveiled a billboard of Chance under bold letters, "Choose hope, it works." That evening, the Thompson farm glowed with lanterns again, now an adoption fair where families signed cards for soon-to-be rescued horses. Kira spotted Lila teaching kids how to braid ribbon into manis and realized leadership multiplies when shared, like seeds on rich soil. When the last guest left, moonlight painted the pasture silver, and Kira leaned on the fence watching Chance graze beside the chestnut, their shadows long and peaceful. She traced every step from that first risky bid to this quiet field and saw that impossible is really an invitation to grow beyond any map. A shooting star streaked overhead. Kira wished not for trophies, but for strength to greet the next hard choice with the same open heart. Chance raised his head as if catching the wish, and under the calm sky horse and girl stood ready, partners prepared to welcome the next life waiting for a chance.